again. The second presentation talks about the cost of distribution and challenges in the newspaper distribution, particularly during this pandemic time. To present this, we have Mr. Michael Kieswetter. He is the Managing Director of Rheinische Post Adlock in Germany. Again, I invite Ingi Olafsson to introduce Mr. Kieswetter and chair the session. Over to you, Mr. Ingi.
Thank you, Jaganes. Welcome again, and I welcome our speaker today, Mr. Michael Kieswetter. He is currently the director within the Rheinische Post Media Group in Germany. Together with a strong team of specialists, he is providing various high-quality services for one of the top regional media groups in Germany. His responsibilities include newspaper distribution, logistics, procurement, and call center services. He has over 20 years of experience in the German newspaper business with focus on call center services and home delivery networks. He manages an organization of 4,000 people and is passionate about sustainable leadership and organizational development. So the floor is yours, Mr. Kieswetter.
Thank you so much, Ingi. Yes, thanks for inviting me to speak. I'd like to prepare the presentation to run you through the points Ingi pointed out, and I'm sharing the screen now. First of all, I would like to talk to you just a little bit about the Rheinische Post Media Group, which is one of the larger regional media groups here in Germany. Give you an overview about the media group, but as well about the logistics operation of the media group. I'd like to talk about the cost structure we have and can share some insights from the German Association of Newspapers as well there. And thirdly, trying to talk about or show you how we started at the beginning of the pandemic here in Germany, and under which framework we worked in the distribution of newspapers, of regional newspapers. So, first of all, about the Rheinische Post Media Group, we are a medium-sized family-owned business here in Germany. We have a group turnover of about 650 million euros. And are invested in regional daily newspapers in Düsseldorf, Saarbrücken, Trier, and Bonn, as well as local TV and radio stations, specialist media in Germany, and well, England is not quite the right term, is it? The United Kingdom. We have, as most media groups here in Germany as well, expanding digital business with a few very successful news sites. For the paper-based business, we have a very high capacity printing center here in Düsseldorf, in another one in Saarbrücken. I'm going to be talking just about Düsseldorf here. And we have altogether around 15,000 employees in Germany, if we include the complete delivery network. The logistics operation we run as a distribution network for mainly for the daily newspapers here in and around Düsseldorf. It's called LP Logistik, or Rheinische Post Logistics Network. As I said, we run the network in an area covering about 5,500 square kilometers. Just to give you an impression how big this might be, this little square here, which you can see around Chennai, this would be the area we cover just in Germany. We see a map in a minute as well. We have over the course of the year about 100 million deliveries in daily newspapers, postal service products, and another 100 million in free sheets. We deliver 2 to 3 days a week, sorry. And altogether, we cover about 2.1 million households here around the area, with altogether a staff of about 5,500 people. Bigger than 95% of which are carriers covering the distance we go. The turnover of logistics here around Düsseldorf is about 48 million euros a year. If you add all of the logistic costs of the group within the other areas we cover as well, then we have an amount of logistic costs of about 100 million, with a group turnover of 600 million, 650 million. So that's quite a number we're talking about. Just a quick overlook, what's the organizational structure of the logistics operation? We have a planning and management company supporting the tasks of coordinating, organizing transport, delivery, operations, running the IT systems. We have a business development, very small group of people trying to do some business development to get other products into the system. And every year, more important is the part of controlling very wide and complex network. What we do is we concentrate planning, controlling, and the process definition in the head of this company, and the execution and fulfillment in regional branches that then locally run the network. View on the process, we have a printing center printing the Rheinische Post here in Düsseldorf, printing and manufacturing it so it can be loaded and delivered. We have as well incoming lorries bringing national newspapers, bringing corporation newspapers, magazines and mail. Until 10:30 at night. During the course of the night, we are commissioning all the products into loads for the carriers, transporting them with 100 to 130, depending on the day of the week. Lorries going out to drop-off points in the area, which you can see on the little map. And then our carriers pick up the newspapers and products and deliver them to the households into the letterbox or mailboxes. We'll have a look later on into this process again, because it does become important when you talk about pandemic and ask the question how a virus actually spreads. So just a quick view into the cost structure of German local newspapers. Here it is the case that the great majority of circulation numbers are distributed to the households, and we have a very strong basis of subscriber models. So we're talking about 95% of the circulation, which is distributed through the carrier network. Which results as well, which results as well in the cost structure. If you have a look on a average local or regional German newspaper, you can see the production costs, meaning printing facilities is about 21% of the cost share, content creation about 25%. Which always used to be the biggest share in the years until, say, 2015, 2016, 2017. The cost of advertising just below 10%, and sales and distribution now adding up to nearly 35% of the cost of a publishing newspaper company in Germany. The data I can see from our own company, but this is actually a survey, not very old survey, of the German Association of Newspapers, completed by some data backing from my own company. So let's have a look into the distribution costs here, sales and distribution. Actually, the sales part is not so big. It's just by counting to 7.5%. But the distribution costs altogether is about 27% of total costs of a news company, publishing company. Here again, looking into, I was tempted to go into the details of the cost structure, but actually the main news about it is that obviously a carrier network covering 20 to 25,000 kilometers every night, traveling from mailbox to mailbox, household to household, needs just a lot of labor capacity. So from the viewpoint of the publishing companies, over 22% of the cost share is personnel or labor costs. The rest adding up is transport, commissioning, infrastructure like IT, rents to be paid for the local hubs. Okay, let's get to the second part of my presentation. In the situation on the 24th of February, here was a very, well, it wasn't very, I'm just missing a word, I'm sorry. It was a very quiet situation. We had a look at the complete lockdown, Wuhan in China. We had bad COVID-19 numbers in a few Mediterranean states, Italy, Spain, and France had rising numbers of COVID-19 cases, but it was all cross-border, you know, it was Germany, we didn't have any cases. But still, we had a view on it, we had a look at it, and asked the question, what if this would happen with us here in Germany? Now, today, 6 months later, we all know much more. But then it was, what if it happens with us, or maybe rather when? Another view on what happened then. On the 25th of February, the mayor of a very small town in Germany, and it wasn't very far from Düsseldorf, here announced that there had been a COVID case, and we had the first COVID-19 hotspot in Germany, just in front of our doorstep. Distance was about 37 miles or about 60 kilometers from the printing facility. We had a daily transport going to this area, delivering newspapers. We had people working here in Düsseldorf, but living right next to this hotspot. So from one day to another, we had to think about what are we going to do to maintain our business under very different circumstances. What did we do? First, we installed a team coordinating all the measurements and actions on a top level. This was absolutely necessary because it was a high level of uncertainty then. Today we know more about the virus, we know better how it distributes, how it goes through the communities, but then we didn't know a lot, and it was very important to gather information and to give information into the company, into every team, to make sure that people knew what to do. It was necessary to coordinatedly prepare and make fast decisions about what actions to take. And it turned out to be vastly important that we connect to state and local authorities, which play up to today a vital role in the circumstances and the framework, as well as connecting to outside people from the newspaper associations and to fellow publishing companies in the neighborhood, but as well in Germany altogether. So then every team, every company within the media group had to do a risk assessment. Our first priority was what can we do to keep the workforce safe? Because obviously, as a very workforce-driven company in logistics, we knew that our workforce is our business. The second point was production security. We'll go through the process in a minute just to make sure, but obviously every company has to make sure that the product they sell can still be produced and is available for the customer. And we had to have a view on possible impact on the business, mainly in this case, obviously advertising revenue, but as well, what would happen to the subscriber revenue? Would the people still subscribe, or would anything happen there? As well as having a look into possible means of cost reduction under these very special circumstances. And then finally, we had to set priorities because it was a lot going on, a lot of uncertainty going on, and we just had to make sure that we make the right decisions and take the right actions. But one was the key question for us to go through the processes to see how can we keep the workforce safe and keep the production running. That was the question. Yes, we knew COVID-19 was different, but it was a virus, and we had conversations with a couple of doctors and specialists and asked the question, how does it spread? What do we know? So we could decide about measurements and actions. We saw this before. This is the process. It was the question, how does the virus spread? Yes, there was a lot of speculation going on which surface does the virus survive, how long, but the main means of spreading of the virus is from person to person. So we defined hotspots in the process. First of all, the printing center here in Düsseldorf, as well as on the same location, we have the Rheinische Post media headquarters. We have customer service offices, and we have news desks. All these points of contact from people and employees. And we had to quickly decide what to do, how to limit social interaction here in order to keep the virus off the premises. That was our main task at the beginning, because we knew the authorities would shut the printing plant down once we had a hotspot here on the premises. So that was our first and main goal, secure the premises. Obviously, we had people coming in, delivering products into our loading area. We had to look into that. We had people standing in line, commissioning different products into loads for the carriers. As well, here we had to think about it. The transport itself was not a big problem, but at the drop-off areas, there might be a chance carriers meeting with transport people, so we had to think about that. And last but not least, obviously, what happens at the mailbox? Do we meet customers there, subscribers? What do we do there? Okay, I've tried to summarize this to keep it concise. So the first hotspot was everything within the offices where people work together, mostly IT-based work, communication work, handling of information, but not goods. And we decided within a week that we would try to get everybody working in offices into the home office. How many mobile devices would we have? How many laptops could we produce in order to get that done? And I can say within 2 weeks, probably 90%, 95% of the office workers were working from home. Hail to the infrastructure here in Germany, which was very good. Obviously, we thought about personal protection equipment, come to that later on, and we had rules of conduct, rules of personal interaction, how to sneeze, how to cough, please wear a mask, keep your distance, all things you probably know as well. The production, here we have stationary machines, handling of goods and materials. You cannot possibly do this at home. So we divided the shifts into separate shifts. We narrowed the complexity of the products. We made much simpler, so we could handle the shifts with less people. And we had shifts that would not meet each other. So if one shift was connected with the virus and had to stay in quarantine, there would be at least another shift and maybe even a backup team to come back into work next day to produce the daily newspaper. And obviously masks and PPE in form of gloves and masks. So same for the loading area. You cannot do this from home. So we had PPE, we had shifts as well, which is not mentioned here, and personal interaction rules. At the drop-off points, we gave the information. Please do not meet, keep your distance, even in the night, even if there are only very few people at the drop-off points, and the workforce was very disciplined, I can say. And as a very early morning newspaper, we finish our work at 6:30. During the pandemic, most customers stayed at home as well, so they didn't have to go to work. The public transport was shut down anyway after a while. So we had the situation that at the letterbox, we would very rarely meet people. We got the carriers to wear gloves to address concerns of some subscribers if maybe the newspaper would deliver the virus to their homes. And obviously the rules of personal interaction and conduct. So with this set of rules and actions, we managed actually to keep up to now to keep the virus off the premises. We had a very few cases of maybe, but we didn't have a strong case of virus or outbreak within the premises, which we are very happy about. Other important factors are that the newspaper production and distribution was officially declared systemically relevant for the polity. I have to say I'm not quite sure about this word polity. It means for the community, for the state running the communities. It was very early, it was clear that like shops for food, as well, the distribution of news would be systemic relevant, which gave us some advantages over other businesses and helped us to keep up the service. I cannot point out more that the information is key. In a state of uncertainty, when people don't know what's happening, have information from different sources saying different things, it is key that you inform your employees. We had newsletters for the carriers. We had to make sure everybody knew what to do and what not to do. And we had to correct misinformation, and we had to address concerns from the workforce, and super high management attention on giving information and conveying information in both directions. And we had to learn, or we could learn, uncertainty creates awareness. Relatively little sick leave in the carrier workforce, very disciplined behavior, and a very big sense of importance the colleagues had, and we had an economic impact on many people in Germany, but we could point out that we are a secure company to work for, which gave us a very, very high quality of distribution, something we had last 15 years ago. So it worked very well. What's happening today? We can see again that the numbers in Germany are rising slightly. At the moment, we have no lockdown. Most businesses and schools are running. Masks you have to wear in school and shops and public transport, but not out in the open. We have local authorities assessing the situations and carrying out lockdowns, local lockdowns if needed. And we have a healthcare system which is absolutely intact, which is very good. But what I personally, this is my personal opinion, see is we have rising numbers and we have less awareness in the people have less awareness. They are somewhat tired of all the measurements, and we have more social interaction, which leads obviously to more spreading of the virus. That was what I had to say. Thank you so much for listening, and I'm happy to take some questions. Amy.
Yep, thank you very much, Mr. Kieswetter. It was very interesting, your presentation, and you have a great operations, I see. We have few questions and quite little time, I think, but we'll try to take some questions. Here's one: what precautionary measures taken during the COVID situation, and how the COVID phobia how is the COVID phobia in Germany? How to convenience the customers? What about the paper circulation now in Europe, and what about the future of newspaper printing? Very big question.
The paper circulation in the recent months was more stable than it used to be before. We have a decline in subscriber circulations. We've seen declining numbers for the last 5 to 10 years. It was more stable because many subscribers were happy that they were feeling well informed by the local newspapers. Okay, we had lots of in social media, lots of information, not how to say, not so well researched. So we felt that it was much more stable, and we had the question of with the newspaper, would the virus come to their house of some subscribers? But together with, I think even I had saw research from WAN-IFRA, but as well from the German Association of Newspapers, I think we could address those concerns, and after a month, we didn't have any inquiries into that anymore. Was that answering the question?
Yeah, yeah. Do you think then maybe if I can a little bit take from that question, do you think that it's helping the newspapers how they're more trustworthy than the social media? People trust them, so they realize the disinformation in the social media?
I think it has helped a lot, yes. Well, I'm not responsible for content creation, but I have a feeling that the number of misinformation, the amount of misinformation in social media, especially, has led to even more uncertainty with many people, and they have more trust into the well-researched local newspapers, yes.
Okay, one final question. Will COVID change distribution forever? I mean, will the COVID situation change distribution as we know it and forever?
I don't think so. Not in distribution. I still think that doing it during the night, when here in Germany not many people are out on the road, and the chances of spreading the virus are very limited, especially if you wear a mask. I don't think this will change the distribution a lot. No.
Okay. So I thank you very much for your very good presentations, and I wish you all the best in Germany, and have a good day.
Well, thank you, Ingi. Thanks. Bye-bye to everyone.
I thank Mr. Kieswetter and Mr. Ingi Olafsson for the wonderful presentation. So now I request all the participants to go back to the timeline and join the next session. Thank you. Thank you very much.